and we're talking about affordability, and there's lots to unpackage when it comes to affordability, because what's affordable to you ain't what is affordable to somebody else, and that's a wide spectrum, right?
And what we were talking about when we were on the break was Nova Scotia versus Ontario.
Yeah.
Is Nova Scotia the promised land, or is Ontario the promised land?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's up for debate a little bit. For me,
yeah,
I've said this before. I think it's a great place to live, do work, business, the whole 9 yards. Our cost of living has increased.
Food is on par. Fuel is on par.
Still very, very affordable in terms of the real estate compared to the rest of the country.
Yeah. Rent, though, that's a different
The rents
animal.
are expensive.
Rents are abnormally expensive here in Halifax.
Now, we have some of the most unaffordable cities in the world, in Canada.
Yeah.
Halifax is not one of them.
Yeah.
But when we look at Toronto and we look at Vancouver, they're amongst the most unaffordable cities in the entire world.
Yeah.
Which is shocking when you think about Canada. I just think that, we have everything so under control. Mm-hmm. But inflation has hit here.
Yeah. But I can think back to when I bought my first home and what my wife at the time and I were making, and it was not a lot of money. I was new in media.
You were at the entry level.
Right. But I was still able to, at that point, buy a starter home and fix it up and all of that stuff. I don't know that that's in reach for people, and I guess comparable dollars would be a couple of people making $45,000 a piece today here in Halifax. 7 years ago, though that couple could buy that starter home.
Oh, no problem.
No problem. Even maybe 5 or before the pandemic. But that now is changed fundamentally, right?
Well, I bought my first house when I was 19.
Yeah.
And back then, it was about $170,000. And my partner and I at the time, we made less than $100,000 a year, but we were doing pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But, we had a car or a couple of cars, and, we were living the good life, but it was very easy back then.
Yeah.
And we were, a mortgage was available for everyone. And that's what I always said. I'm like, if we would throw it at the wall and see if it would stick. We had a very little amount of money for a down payment, but, we were able to make that payment. And it's not the same now. So that same house today isn't $400,000, isn't $500,000. It has continued to increase. And it just takes so much more income to be able to qualify for that same property. And that's where it is challenging. And I said this before. The incomes have not paced with the cost of real estate here. Our real estate was undervalued before. Now I think it's leveled up, and luckily it has balanced out a lot. We are not seeing these increases in the property values that we've seen the last few years. I think some houses are going up, 5, 6, 7%, 8%, but a lot are going up maybe 1, 2, 3%. And that is giving, I think, people the opportunity for their incomes to increase over, the period. Things are going to balance out. Yeah.
And of course there are people out there who are in the military, who are in our region here, who are making $70,000, $80,000.
A lot of people,
right?
More, 90, 100,000.
90, but are single and not married and not.
It's tough,
right? Yeah, that's. Whereas again, 5 years ago, that same person could get themselves.
And a lot of those people could afford a home for like $300,000, $400,000. But the issue is, there's not too many homes at $300,000 or $400,000 available, and I think the ones that are available for sale need a lot of work. Yeah. So I think that takes some research. That takes some capital. Are you going to do purchase plus improvements, or are you able to pick away at it over time? So I think anytime that you're going to enter into buying a home, you need to kind of have a plan. And are you going to be okay with living with it the way it is now, or do you need to improve it right away? I think you really need to kind of think about that.
The public housing model, we talked about that. When all is said and done, developers will need to build that public housing to whatever degree that it is. How much of a challenge is it to divert builders who are making money elsewhere? And the expectation would be that they would build this public housing. It would somehow, we're talking about a lot of government involvement here, right? Yeah,
and I think ideally that would be a public-private partnership, because governments are not good landlords. Governments are not good developers. But I do think that if there's a private partnership of some sort, I think that works out a lot better. And I know there's going to be the naysayers that are going to talk about the P schools and how the province bought them back and all this stuff, and people made all kinds of money. But, that might be what we need to do, deals like that, to be able to get housing and housing starts underway. How are we going to incentivize builders to be able to bring more units online? It's going to come from the federal government, Todd. This is not something we're solving in HRM. We do have an election coming up, but we're not solving that. I don't know if it's something that we're even going to solve it at a provincial level. This is something that's going to need to be really from a mandate from the federal government.
Yeah, and of course, densification is something that it gets a lot of talk about, and there's going to be a lot of densification in Halifax. What are your thoughts on densification?
I'm all about it in the right areas.
Yeah.
I think that Roby Street, let's build the towers. I have an office over on Wise Road in Dartmouth. Let's build it up. I'm ready. I don't know if we need a tower in like every little area. I think it needs to be on the thoroughfares, like Spring Garden Road. Sure, let's get some towers going. Roby Street, let's get some towers. Young Street, over where the City News station is. Let's make towers there.
Yeah. Where the Canada Post, there's talk about selling that parcel of land.
The federal government is sitting on a lot of good land that is ready and for development. Let's even look at Shannon Park over in Dartmouth. No one's lived on Shannon Park in that area in more than 20 years. And now there is some developer that's doing some construction in some of those old PMQ. Some of those are starting to be ripped down and being redeveloped. But we have tons and tons of land over there at Shannon Park. That could be a commercial, residential, retail mix over there, and that could be its own little community.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more units. We need more. Bottom line is we know what's happening.
We need more,
and that's a key component to this, right? Obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, I'll just echo: at all price points, we need more units. Yeah. We just don't need low income. We need all styles.
Sure. What about condos?
Yeah, build them.
Yeah. You've had
I own a condo.
You own a condo.
I'm living in a condo right now. Yeah. Obviously, I'm pro condo.
Yeah.
Condos living isn't for everybody. For me, it works great for my lifestyle. I can just turn the key and walk away.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm paying a premium for that condo. I could own a single family home for less than I'm paying for this condo. But guess what? I'm in the best location. I'm right downtown. Yeah. I can walk everywhere. I'm paying a premium for the location, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It works for my lifestyle.
Yeah, I think people need to be aware of the condo boards and the fees and all of these, and
100%,
and repairs that they can come to the members and say, look, sometimes we need extra money. That does happen, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not involved in our condo corp. I could.
Yeah.
I have a lot going on here between our show here, Mortgage 101, and I do mortgage lending every day. I'm not involved in our condo corp, but I could be, and I've owned other condos before, so I'm very familiar. And I believe in condos. I think they work out well, and it spreads the cost over a lot of people on a monthly basis.
Yeah,
there's not really a lot of surprises normally that come with condos,
but there can be. I've heard stories of people getting.
There's always horror stories.
Yeah, horror stories in condos.
Always horror stories.
Yeah.
But there's horror stories in every type of housing.
Yeah.
The difference is when you own your home, you have a lot of control. It doesn't matter if it's a condo or a freehold property. You have the control. I met with clients this week that said that they got reno evicted 3 times in a row.
Wow.
And they were just sick and tired.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to buy whatever home that we can get into. And guess what? Now they can control their future, and they've never been happier.
Okay. How do people get a hold of you, Clinton?
I think checking us out online is the first place to start. You can check us out at teamclinton.ca/radio. We have hundreds and hundreds of blog posts there. We have rates. We have links to our social media. We have a secure online portal if you want to do business with us. And even if you want to ask us a question or get us to talk about something on the show, shoot me a message, and we would love to discuss it here.
Awesome stuff. Thanks, Clinton. Always great, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
If you've liked what you've heard and you want to learn more, feel free to visit us online at teamclinton.ca.